Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Christmas card making project. In this project we're going to make a gorgeous Merry Christmas card using Anna Griffin gift stamps and the Christmas foil layers and one or two other bits and bobs. Everything I do use I'll put in the description box below. So let's get started. The card base that I'm going to use is a 7x5 inch. Now, as you know, this is one of my favourite sizes to work with because it's just the right amount of surface area to fill. It's not too big and it's not too small, and it can still look very impressive on a mantelpiece. So I'll show you how that looks on our cardometer. So there you can see it fits nicely just below the A5 and just above the A6, sits in there. So I'm going to be using an Ivory card base for this card, and I'm just going to give it a score along the edge with my bone folder just to make sure it's a nice sharp score, which will mean it'll stand up nicely on the mantelpiece and it looks a bit more professional. So as always, we're going to start with our inside. So the inside of a card, so many of us just put an insert in and send it. So we spend so much time and trouble making our outside really pretty. I like to do my insides to try and reflect the prettiness from the outside. So the first thing that I've done for this, I've cut an ivory layer that is just a little bit smaller than the size of the inside of this card, and I've stamped on it using one of the gift wrap stamps from Anna, and I've done it in a two-tone ink. So I've used the luminous, I haven't used the luminous gold for this, I've used the olive green, and then where the berries were, I've tried to ink around them, and then where the berries are, I've used a watercolour pen to fill in the berries, just because they were quite tiny, and I didn't want to get the green ink onto my red ink pad for this because of just the angle that they were. So I just used a red water-based pen just to put the berries on. Then, out of one of my own stamps, I just added a little bird on the end of the actual holly branch. So the other thing that I've done that you'll now see is around this section of the holly, I've just trimmed with a craft knife just a little slot. You can see it now as I move the poke tool in it. I've just trimmed a little slot for my sentiment that I've stamped from the gift wrap stamps, and I've used a black StazOn ink for this. I've stamped it out and I've cut it out, and I've got a little bit of tape on the back, and all I'm going to do is slot that through where the holly is, and then I can stick that onto the insert, and it's as if it's coming through the holly. So you can see on the back where the slot is. I've already got double-sided tape on the back of this that I'm just going to peel away, and then we can stick our insert in. So just bear with me for 2 ticks. There we go. So then this will sit nicely in the centre of our card, like that. Just got a little bit of tape hanging over, fold that in, and that is our insert, and that will go really well with the outside of our card. So let's start with the outside. Now I'm just going to give it another score because we've put the insert in. Now for the base of this, I've got one of Anna's Christmas metallic foil layers in the red with the snowflake. I've got double-sided tape that I've already put on the back of it. So I'm just simply peeling the tape away. I've not had to trim the layer or anything, so it will fit nicely onto my card because they're the 7x5 sizes. I think in the box you get the 7x5 and the 6x6. So that sits on the front of my card. Now the next thing I've done, and I'm going to show you how I've done this, I've stamped repeatedly using the same Merry Christmas stamp, and then I've trimmed them. So how I did this was stamping it repeatedly, and then I picked one that I coloured in a different coloured pen, which in my case I used a watercolour pen. You'd be able to use the new pens from Anna coming up that she's just previewed, or any of the pens that you've already got in your stash. So then I simply took my scissors and I trimmed through the line between each of the stamps, just up to a certain level of the stamp. I didn't go all the way. I went all the way to the bottom through each separate one, and then I took my pokey tool, so you could use your bone folder, anything that you've got. The first one, I simply pulled down on it. The second one, I did it the opposite way. Third one, opposite. The next one, down. So I started to get a little bit of a curl into the actual stamps. So on the ones that I've done where I've got the curl, I've alternated it with a foam pad and then flat tape, so that when I put this onto the front of the card, like I'm going to do now, it's going to have a little bit of movement, and you're going to see the curls, whether they've curled one way or the other. So it's just something a little bit different for when it's stood on somebody's mantelpiece. So I'm going to position that literally to one side of the card, like so, and stick it down, so you can see how there's movement in them. And then when they find their own space on the card, where you've got your double-sided tape and then the double-sided foam, you'll get the different shapes in them. So for the next other side, I've got a piece of Anna's glitter card, double-sided tape on the back of it, and I'm just going to simply position it at the side there. And then I've got a piece of red card, because it's all about building up the layers, and that's going to sit just on the top of the glitter card, like that. Just straighten it a little bit more. Next thing, I've got one of the border strips from Anna that are the stickers, and these were in one of the card kits. So sometimes you've got lots of little pieces left over, so don't waste them. Use them on, you know, your cards for other things. You don't have to just keep them for that kit. So I'm just going to trim off the excess with my scissors for the border strip. And then next I've got gorgeous bird embellishments. That's a sticker, so I can peel the back of this away. This again was out of one of the holiday card kits, and I'll pop that just so the tail is just under, we can still see the message, so it's just under the message, like that. And to finish this card off, I've got a gorgeous gold double bow and a little glue dot on the top that I'm going to put just at the top of the bird. And that is our card finished. So it's something a little bit different, still as beautiful, and it gives you reason to use your rubber stamps, mixing your colours, giving you a little bit of a technique to do the repeat rubber stamping, and using a few of your embellishments you might have left over. and I think the inside is just as pretty as the outside. And again, it would look great on anybody's mantelpiece. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please give me the thumbs up. I love hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.